I travel a lot, but there's something you should know about me. I've never even come close to missing a train or a plane or a bus in my life. In fact, I'm one of those guys who ends up at the airport so early that often I'm told to wait because the counters have not opened, or in some of the small airports, the airport itself has not opened. I'm the same person who reaches Indian weddings much before the bride and the groom or their families, often about the same time that the caterers or the flower decorators are there. So I personally often know where each of the dishes are, which one to go for at any wedding. But that's just me, early, very, very early. Now, I wasn't always like this. When I was in school, in a hostel, I was like some of you. You would often find me running extra rounds of the hockey field because I was late for practice, or standing outside class because Mr. Singh, my math tutor, wouldn't allow us into the class even if we were a minute late. So what happened? What changed? The story that I'm going to tell you today is about that one single incident that happened to me almost 3 decades ago that changed the way I looked at life and changed the way I managed my time. It happened 30 years ago, but every day I'm reminded of it. It was my first day at work. I was new to Mumbai, the city of dreams, also the city of locals. Everything, for those of you who are familiar with Mumbai, will know runs based on the local trains over there. Someone told me that if I needed to get to the office in time, I needed to take the 7:59 train from my station to get to the office before 9 a.m. It sounded pretty simple. Take the 7:59 from one station, get off at the last station, reach office before 9 a.m. But to prepare for it, on the Sunday before I was supposed to start working, I went to the station, got my monthly pass for the railway, boarded the 7:59, and realized that I reached the office 10 minutes to 9. It worked. Fairly straightforward, simple. So Monday came, and I went to the station. This time I was dressed a little differently. It was my first day at work. So my shoes were polished, my shirt was ironed, I had a tie on, and in those times, all of us used to carry this leather briefcase. So I had my little briefcase in hand. When I reached the station a few minutes before the 7:59 was supposed to come, I realized that it was a little different from Sunday. It had a few more people at the station. So what? So I wait, and the 7:59 arrives. There are more people hanging outside the train than inside the train. There was no way I was getting into that train, not with my polished shoes, my crisp shirt, my tie, and my briefcase. So I shrugged my shoulders and said, fine, I'll take the next one. So I waited for the 8:01. And in Mumbai, it's very specific timings when the locals come. So the 8:01 arrives. It has more people hanging outside than the 7:59. What do? Stand on the side and wait for it to go. 8:03, same story. 8:05, same story. Now I'm getting desperate. So for the 8:08 train, I position myself in such a way, and if you've seen videos, you will know this, that when the crowd pushed themselves into the train, I automatically got pushed in. The shoes got trampled a little bit, the shirt got crumpled a little bit, but I was in the train. Unfortunately, by the time I got to my office, it was 9:30. I was 30 minutes late. So I race up to the training room, and I knock on the door, and there's an elderly gentleman who's teaching the class, and he stops, looks at me, and waves me in. So I go find an empty seat, sit down, open my briefcase, take my pen, my paper, my notebook, my scale, my stapler out, because we used to carry that stuff with us, and I settle down. And all the time that I'm doing this, he doesn't speak. He waits for me to settle down. Once I've settled down, he looks at nobody particular in class, and he says, "If you're on time, it shows you care." The moment I heard those words, I jumped on my feet because I had a reason. I had an excuse. I was new to Mumbai. The trains were crowded. But before I could say a single word, he raised his hand and said, "Young man," and I was young then. He said, "Young man, I know you have a reason, but I'd like to hear about it at the end of the week." At the end of the week? 5 days? So I sat down and I was angry. I didn't hear a word that was said for the next 4 hours that he lectured us. Not a word. I looked at the timetable and I saw that he had 3 other sessions that week. 2 starting at 2 p.m. after lunch and 1 at 9 a.m. So on Wednesday, for the 2 p.m. class, when we broke for lunch at 1, I went down quickly, grabbed lunch off a cart, ate quickly, and I was back in the class at 1:45. And I sat right in front. So when the professor walked in, I made myself big. He looked at me, he noticed me, he smiled at me. I was in no mood to smile back. He read the class, I was thrilled with myself. Thursday, 9 a.m. class. I don't wait for the 7:59 this time. I take the 7 o'clock. And after managing a nice leisurely walk along Marine Drive, I'm still in the office at 8:30, 30 minutes before the session starts. 9 a.m., he walks in, he looks at me because I've made myself big, he smiles at me. I don't smile back, but I do give him a smirk. I'm leading 2-1 now. Friday, 2 p.m. class. 1 o'clock break, quick meal, back in the room at 1:30, 30 minutes before the class. Sit down right in front and wait. He comes in at 2, he looks at me, he smiles. I give him a big smile back. I have just won 3-1. This is good. I feel good. Now I can't wait to have this conversation with him when the class ends. So again, the next 4 hours, I don't hear a thing that he says because I'm very focused on what I have to say to him. 6 o'clock, class ends. Everyone leaves. I hang around. He waits. When everyone's gone, I walk up to him and I say to him, "Sir, you wanted to know why I was late on the first day. I was late because," and he stopped me. And he said, "Son, I do not want to know why you were late on the first day. I want to know why you were early on the other 3 days." Hold on a second. That's not a question I prepared for. That's out of syllabus. So I think, I stutter, I stammer. And then I say to him, I said, "Because I wanted to show that I could be on time." And he said, "But why?" I said, "Because I could prove to you that, I was late because of a reason. I could be on time. It mattered to me." And he smiled at me and he said, "That's exactly what I said to you on the first day. If you're on time, it matters to you. If you're not on time, it shows that you don't care." Time is not a gray issue. Time is very black and white. Imagine yourself going to catch a train with a friend of yours, traveling in two different vehicles. You reach first and you see the train just leave the station. 5 minutes later, your friend comes huffing and puffing onto the station. You don't turn around and look at him and say, "Hey, I'm better at missing the train than you are." You've missed the train. Ladies and gentlemen, either you're on time or you're not. There is no such thing as a couple of minutes late. You're on time or you're not. Either you care or you do not. It's a choice that you have to make. A choice that I promise you will govern how you are perceived and how you run your life. Choose wisely. Thank you.